Things to consider before becoming a landlord. Hi guys, welcome to my channel. Before we get started, make sure to hit that like button. Also subscribe to my channel. Things to consider before becoming a landlord. So make sure to watch the full video. Number 1. Should I get a property manager to look after my rental investment property? If you are purchasing an investment property that you intend to rent, you should consider whether you will manage the property yourself or hire a property manager. Being a landlord can take longer than expected. You have to deal with problems as they arise, not when they arise. That could mean a midnight phone call or something. If you want to avoid this, it is wise to hire a property manager. Collecting and negotiating rent, selecting tenants, conducting regular inspections, arranging repairs and maintenance, notifying landlords and sharing financial statements, paying city taxes/interest on rent, collecting security deposit payments, necessary. Be sure to do your research to find the right property manager to terminate the problem tenant. Costs vary, but you can usually expect property management companies to charge a small percentage of the monthly rent for your investment property. Another advantage of property management is that you can buy investment properties across the country without having to manage them yourself. This is a great option for aspiring real estate investors in expensive cities like Sydney, as it allows you to climb the real estate ladder in more affordable cities and communities. Number 2. Understand strata. Understanding the hierarchy is important if it applies to the type of rental property you are buying. Too many people jump in and buy an investment without knowing if they have to pay for a shift and how much it will cost. If the strata price seems unusually high, the buyer should investigate and ask questions first. If shift charges are higher than expected, it means there is an underlying problem with the building or complex, moisture, leaks, etc., and the shift committee is racking up funds for major repair work. There is a possibility that, number 3, find a good handyman. Some repairs may not be possible on your own. Try to have a good relationship with the merchants you hire. Ideally, you want to find someone who has a good reputation, responds quickly, and gets the job done within your budget. Number 4. Make sure you are well insured. Unfortunately, some tenants showed no respect for your property, or things may happen that are beyond your or your tenant's control. Get good home insurance to protect your property and its contents. If you rely on rental income for your personal income, you may also want to consider income protection insurance. Number 5. How to find good tenants. It is best for you or your property manager to meet with the tenant. Face-to-face. People can be very different on paper, and meeting in person is a great way to build relationships. Always call for references to increase your chances of finding a good tenant. But sometimes good tenants get angry. The best way to prevent this is to hold yourself accountable and show mutual respect. Number 6. What responsibilities and legal obligations do landlords have? A landlord's primary responsibility to its tenants is to provide a safe and livable property that complies with building health and safety laws. This requires routine maintenance to be performed and repairs to be made as necessary to avoid harming the renter. Landlord responsibilities vary slightly from state to state and territory, but generally you should respond to repair and maintenance requests in a timely manner. Address potential health issues such as mold and moisture. Provide tenants with copies of relevant states/territories, areas outlining your rights booklet. Pay all charges and bills for which you are responsible under your tenancy agreement. Review inspection policies, including frequency and notices. If emergency repairs, such as broken toilets or gas leaks, cannot be accommodated, the lessee reserves the right to make repairs as soon as possible, usually worth up to $1,000. There is a legal obligation to reimburse the lessee for these costs. For more information on what is considered an emergency repair, read our article on rental home repairs. Depending on the nature of the damage, emergency repairs require immediate attention and should be responded to by the landlord within 3 to 7 days. Clearly, problems like gas leaks can be urgently life-threatening to tenants and the public and should be addressed immediately. Regular repairs, regular plumbing, small water leaks on the roof, leaks, etc., should be completed within about a month. Ideally, arrange for these repairs and maintenance sooner to prevent further damage and skyrocketing bills. If the damage is caused by the lessee, excluding reasonable wear and tear, the lessee is obligated to pay. Number 7. What are your rights as a landlord? As a landlord, you certainly have many legal obligations and responsibilities, but you also have rights. If a resident damages your property by drilling a hole in the wall, etc., you are entitled to claim the repair costs. You also have the right to raise the rent at the end of a term lease, such as a 12-month lease. However, the lessee also has the right to object to this price increase if he/she considers it unreasonable. If you have great tenants, it might make more sense to keep your current rent rather than raise the rent and risk moving out. Most states allow landlords to sell property during the rental period. However, you do not have to move out before the term of the fixed-term lease contract expires. Check your local state laws to find out what you need to know about providing notice. Frequency of prospective purchaser inspections, early termination of leases, and more. What happens if the tenant stops paying rent? If the tenant stops paying rent, you have rights. There are many reasons why tenants do not pay their rent. For example, it could be due to forgetfulness or short-term cash flow problems. Or it could be a long-running, complex problem, such as B. Recent unemployment, personal problems such as bereavement or broken relationships. Tenant is in arrears if rent is not paid by the agreed due date. Number 8. There are some rules which you must follow. This is absolutely necessary. When becoming a landlord, it is essential to understand the rules and laws that must be followed. It's also important to scratch your rights and your tenant's rights. Ask yourself the following questions. Do you know what you can and cannot ask in an interview with a potential tenant? Do you know how to handle deposits? Do you know what your responsibilities are for maintaining property? Do you know how to evict a problem tenant? As a landlord, number 9. Your job title goes further than just landlord. Becoming a landlord is not easy. It is not a career choice to be made without serious consideration. Many people become landlords to profit from their ability to pay or as an investment in their future. If you're considering becoming a landlord, here are 5 things you should know first. First place, there are rules that must be followed. This is absolutely necessary. When becoming a landlord, it is essential to understand the rules and laws that must be followed. It's also important to scratch your rights and your tenant's rights. Ask yourself the following questions. Do you know what you can and cannot ask in an interview with a potential tenant? Do you know how to handle deposits? Do you know your property management duties? Do you know how to evict a problem tenant? As a landlord, I have more questions too. Being a landlord is not an ordinary job. Being a landlord is not his 9-to-5 job. You can be your own boss and enjoy your independence. This does not mean that your workday cannot be influenced or changed by others. Tenants can call you at any time about important issues. Either way, it's your responsibility to fix this issue. Severity obviously affects the time frame you can respond to. If you have a serious issue that needs immediate attention, it's up to you to handle it or bring in someone who can. Your days will be unstructured and spontaneous. Be prepared for a call from a tenant at the worst possible time. 3. Your title goes beyond landlord. The best landlords do much more than their titles take for granted. In fact, your role will go far beyond your initial expectations. Here are some jobs you can prepare as a landlord. If you are a private landlord, you do all the work of a rental broker. Vendor/seller. There will come a time when showing a property to potential renters feels more like a pitch than a viewing. Negotiator. Okay, this is very similar to the seller. There will come a time when the renter will try to negotiate with you. Be strict but fair. Debt collector, of course. Anyone not paying their rent. Handyman. Tenants need something permanent and would rather do it themselves than pay an outsider. Better start learning. Therapist. Your tenant has just broken up with a long-term partner, lost his job, and can't pay his rent. Be prepared for a tearful call. Detective. Someone has asked to rent your property. Time for excavation and detective work. References, credit checks, and general research should give you enough information about the renting behavior of potential new tenants. Number 10. You have to follow the law. You can't do what you want. For example, if you don't want to rent to people of color, don't rent because it's discriminatory. Here are some of the laws you must follow as a landlord. Under the Fair Housing Act, FHA, you may not discriminate against tenants or potential tenants on the basis of race, religion, color, or the like. Security must be based on state-specific laws. South Florida landlords are not limited to the maximum amount they can collect, but as a rule of thumb, it should be reasonable. Law requires rental properties to have smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, etc. Abandoned property, tenant property, cannot be dumped immediately. You must contact the tenant to claim your belongings, and many more. Rental laws vary from state to state, so it's a good idea to work with a professional property management company that has experience in the real estate market. Number 11. You need to be friendly toward your tenants. You don't have to be the resident's best friend, but you should be friendly. By being friendly with your tenants, you can show them that you really care and encourage them to. Renew their leases. Show your residents that you care and welcome them with a care package. Send me a freshly baked cake for Thanksgiving. Send birthday cards to tenants on their birthdays. If you find a tenant sick, send fresh flowers. If you have short-term renters, pamper them with local restaurants, bars, pubs, etc. What do you think of our video? Let me know in the comment section below. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to hit that like button. Also subscribe to our channel before you go.